you wouldn't be able to create the content if you weren't in this environment. Look at that glow. Look at that glow. Because Bulldog gear are the only gear that I use. Hello, welcome back. Join me for another workout. I have been away, not away, but I haven't recorded. I missed a week, basically. I missed a week of recording. And the reason I missed a week of recording was because I got bitten by a mosquito. And didn't just get bitten by a mosquito, because I don't do anything by halves, but I got bitten and then I got an allergic reaction to it. And this is something that's happened to me before. It started probably about 3 years ago. I got my first allergic reaction to a mosquito, but bearing in mind this is here in the UK, in my home, that I got bitten. And so my arm swelled up, and you can probably see the discoloration still. So my arm really swelled up, really itchy. I'll try and remember to insert a picture so you can see what it looks like there. And it swelled up, and so I had to go and get antibiotics, and I couldn't bend my arm that way or keep my arm that way. It really hurt. Leaning on it really hurt. It was very itchy. So for about a week or so, it was very uncomfortable. And then, and I didn't know antibiotics did this, but maybe that's just me. I think I've done that leg. Maybe it's just me. Then the roof of my mouth got really sore as well. And it's to the point where there were probably about 2 or 3 days where I couldn't eat anything like hard or crunchy or anything, you know, that would irritate the roof of my mouth, basically. So I ended up having porridge, sort of ready brek type things for breakfast, and soup, and what else I have? Scrambled eggs for lunch. And actually one night I actually had Rice Krispies for dinner, and I had to wait for them to soften in the milk before I could eat them. So the last week or so has not been very pleasant, but I am back in the gym, finished my course of antibiotics, and feeling a lot better. And my arm, yep, more movement in it. Needs to probably get some shea butter on my arm to get rid of the discoloration, or it's not discoloration, but the sort of dark patch that I've got now. Some of that might be sunburn as well, to be frank, from my holidays. But anyway, so I am back in the gym, and something caught my attention this week that I wanted to talk about. And it's quite an interesting topic because it relates to what I do and content creation. And it stemmed from a video that I watched of a content creator. And this was a content creator who was also a teacher, and a serving teacher. And he posted a video of, and this is, you know, not throwing shade or anything like that, this is just where my thoughts have come from for this video. He posted a video on, or I saw it on TikTok, showing himself setting up an office space. And he was setting up this office space as a classroom. So he had hired space, he was setting it up as a classroom. And he said the reason that he'd had to move into this office facility was because he'd been told that he couldn't film his videos in his classroom at school anymore. And so he needed a studio because his previous studio was no longer available. And I call it a studio because when I've been thinking about this, well, actually, that's what was happening. So this then led me to think about content creators who are educators, who are teachers in particular, whether it's primary or secondary, and them creating content in their classrooms and using their classrooms as a backdrop, and using the resources in their classrooms in whatever way, and using it to ultimately promote themselves and to kind of increase their subscriber count. Now, I want to caveat what I'm saying by, first of all, saying I don't have any problems with people trying to make a bit of money on the side, or with people trying to maybe establish a name for themselves, or in some cases for some people trying to educate others, because for some teachers it is a case of, I want to share my skills with the rest of the world. I think I'm really good at X, Y, and Z. I think I'm really knowledgeable about this subject. I think I have lots of strategies to support on this. So I want to be able to share that with, you know, the rest of the world. Because when you're on social media, who knows where your videos, where your podcasts, where your content will stretch to. And, you know, like I said, it's no different from me doing a video like this as a head teacher, talking about things related to education, and my videos going in different directions. However, the difference is that this is my studio. My gym in my house is my studio. And so this teacher was that had posted the content about having to move into an office space, rent office space, and it was kind of like, you know, oh, my school won't let me video anymore, you know, and lots of the comments were like, oh, I don't understand schools like that, blah blah. And it really got me thinking about schools and content creators and whether they should be allowed to create content in their classrooms. And then I kind of thought, I don't think that is right. Now, I thought long and hard about why I didn't think it's right. And this is the reason. Now, it's all very well you creating content, but you are essentially using your classroom as a studio. And it's a free studio. And first of all, I just want to say, I'm not talking about filming children. That's a no-no for me under any circumstance. You don't film children because you haven't got parental permission, and you're not using children for your own content, do you know what I mean, to further your social media career. I don't think that is right at all. Whether that's children, you know, showing them a full face, or kind of the sound of the children, unless you have parental permission to use it for your own personal gain. And also, you're going to give parents some of that money that you get, then I don't think it's right. These are, just in case you're wondering, called landmine rotations. And I quite like these. First time I've ever done them. And yeah, they're good. I think I might need to kind of just be a bit more straighter. But I know I'm supposed to do 8 and 8 of those. But we've done the first set. I've got 4 sets in total. I've already done, this is my 3rd set. So anyway, so it's one thing to, so I'm not talking about recording children. I'm not talking about, that's kind of definitely that's where I draw the line. I'm talking about, it's getting hot over here, so. I am talking about, look at that glow, look at that glow. I am talking about using your classroom as a studio. And when you use it as a studio, you're essentially using it for free. Because unless your school is charging you a fee to use your classroom, it's your classroom, yes, but it's your classroom to teach your children and to do things related to your class. It's not to use it for things that are external to your job or separate to your paid employment, because content creators, those on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, whatever platform it is, are creating things for themselves, for their own content. And these are the ones that I'm talking about. So, you know, forget about, oh, but those who create for the school, I'm talking about those who put it on their own platforms, using it for their own benefit and reaping the rewards, the financial rewards, the brand deals, all of that for themselves. Because that's then when you kind of have to think, okay, at what point are you going to admit that it's a business and that you're doing it to earn money and you're doing it to earn brand deals? And that's absolutely fine. That's great. I would love to get brand deals. I would love for somebody to come, someone from MiraFit, use MiraFit, the best plates that you can find on the market. I would love for someone to come along from Bulldog and, you know, sponsor me. Because Bulldog gear are the only gear that I use. I would love them to come along and sponsor me. I'm doing this because I like it, I find it entertaining, I find it helps my workouts go a lot quicker, but I'm also doing it to see what might happen, who knows. But I'm doing it in my own studio. And if I were to do it somewhere else, I would expect, just like when you have an organisation that hire out the school for an after school club, or for an event, you know, if your school has got a lettings policy, then they will have very clear, this is how much it costs to hire this space in this school. And so if I'm a content creator and I'm going to use my school as the studio or my classroom as my studio to create my content, I would be expecting to be charged for that. Might sound controversial, it might not, but I think that's just fair. Because you are creating content that's not really going to, in the grand scheme of things, for a lot of content creators, it's not going to further the cause of the school. In some cases it might do, but still you are creating it, you are putting it on your own platform. And in those videos, there's no mention of the school that the individuals are working at, which should be the case. Because if you are doing it for yourselves, then you should not be promoting the school. And so if you're not promoting the school, then shouldn't you be being charged because you're using the school's facilities? You're essentially using the schools, using the classroom as your studio. So if you are using it as your studio, you need to pay a fee because you are using it to further your own career, to further your own channel, to further your own content, to got things for yourself. And yes, as a side, as an aside, the school may benefit because it might be that you get a brand deal with HP, for example, and they say, you know what, we'll provide printers for your school if you promote our printers. And so you'll have a printer in your classroom saying HP. I always use HP because it makes printing so quick. But yet you're still not mentioning the name of the school and you're still ultimately doing it for your benefit. But there's some, what's the word? I can't think of the word. But the school are getting some benefit as well. But it's still your content on your channel. And so for me, it's like, yeah, if you are going to create content and use a classroom in the school that you work at, then I think it's only right. And I'm talking about regular content creators. I'm talking about those content creators who kind of do it as a side hustle. They're doing it as this is what I also do. So I'm a teacher and I also create content. Not the individuals who are like, oh, I've done this fantastic display and I want to show you my display. It's the ones that do it on a regular. And obviously what happens is that those that show the first display may get such a great response that they end up creating more. And so there's that sort of the boundaries between it just being, I want to show off what I've done because I'm really proud of it, and then it blowing up and being like, oh, okay, I'm going to do this on a regular basis, but I'm going to call it my channel, not I am a teacher of this school and this is how we do things in our school, and so I want to promote the school. Because there's a difference. There's a difference between doing it for your school and yeah, this is the way that we do things at our school. These are the books, these are the displays that we have. We do it because of this reason, and in our school this is our policy, blah blah blah, and it gets uploaded to your school's Instagram or school's Facebook page or your school's website because it's content that you've created for the school. When it's just for your own benefit, I think you're on a fine line if you think you can continue to use a classroom for free. That's my opinion. And I like I said, I thought about this a lot because I watched this teacher setting up this classroom in the office and I think it's a great idea. So, actually, that's a really good idea. And yes, he's got to use his own money. But then why shouldn't he use his own money? If I was to run an after-school club, if I was to run a Saturday club, I would expect to have to pay. Just because I work there doesn't mean to say I'm automatically entitled to get things for free. If a content creator from outside of school comes in and says, you know what, I really want to be able to record my videos in your school, is that possible? I'm saying, you know what, yeah, you can use this classroom, this day, so long as you don't show anything that has a child's name or reference to school, that's fine, this is how much we charge per hour. I would expect that for somebody who is an external content creator. So my question is, why should it be different for somebody who is working in your school? For me, there should be some benefit to the school because you wouldn't be able to create the content if you weren't in this environment. That's what I think. That's my opinion. And so for this school to say to this content creator, sorry mate, you can't film in our school anymore, and that's their policy. And that's what they've decided. And they shouldn't feel bad about that because why should they feel bad about that? So I guess it's recognising that nobody owes anybody anything. You know, it's not a given that if you create content in your classroom, you're always going to be able to create content in your classroom. If you move schools, different schools will have different policies, and it's not a case of, oh, this school is so unfair. That's just the way they do things. And actually they're benefiting you. They're kind of helping you out. You're not helping them out. They're helping you out by giving you a space. So make the most of that space if they give it to you. But then when they say, oh, actually, we've changed our mind, or we're going to stop how we want to do things now, then it's like you've got to recognise that, yeah, you run a business. And any big social media personality, anyone, you think of any big content creators will tell you, if you want to create content in a certain way, you've got to be willing to put your hand in your pocket and pay for things. You've got to be willing to put your hand in your pocket and pay for premises and pay for equipment. Obviously most people just use their iPhones or their mobile phones, but pay for equipment, pay for, some people pay editors because they don't have the time to edit their videos. It shouldn't be a given that you can use school property. I don't know. What do you think? Ironically, a content creator talking about creating content, but like I said, welcome to my studio, guys. This is where I record everything. Occasionally I record in my car because I want to be able to do it somewhere where I know I've not got to have to think about what are the repercussions of this. Is someone going to comment? No one can say anything. Not even me, going to a gym, a public gym. No one can complain. No one's going to walk in front of my video. No one's going to complain to the manager that I'm recording. Do you know what I mean? That's why this is my lovely own space that I can do whatever I want. So, leave your comments below. What are your thoughts on teachers creating content in their classrooms? Do you think they should be able to? Do you think they should be able to with a fee? Do you think they should be charged a letting fee? A lettings fee, because every school has a hire policy. Should they be charged the same way that anybody else who wanted to use their classroom would be? Or is it something that should be written into sort of staff handbooks and policies so that there's real clarity on this is what you can and can't do when it comes to social media? Because as we know, this is going to become the norm. I mean, it is becoming the norm. It really is. In America, it's just, I was so blown away sometimes by the content I see from American teachers. Yeah, I'm blown away, but that's for another day. I'd love to hear your comments. Leave a comment below. Don't forget to, not there yet, not quite, like and subscribe, because I've still got my 12-minute AMRAP to do. So let's kind of get back to my landmine rotations and also single leg glute bridges. I tell you what, social media has just changed everything. And as a head teacher, there's so many more things you need to consider. I mean, this mobile phone ban, I might talk about that in the next video, because secondary school heads, I do not envy you on the 1st, 2nd or 3rd of September when your kids come back. I really don't envy you. I really, really, really don't. But I think I'm going to talk about that in the next video, because I was talking to a friend of mine who works in secondary school, and he was telling me the response that he got when he announced to the children that they were going to be banning mobile phones completely. Ooh, yeah. We'll talk about that in the next video. 45 seconds on the bike. Oh man, sprint. Emphasise the word sprint. Workout done. One thing I will say in terms of the workouts that I do, the AMRAP, which is as many rounds as possible, which was 12 American kettlebell swings, 20 bicycle crunches, and then 45-minute sprint on the bike. that was 12 minutes, as many rounds as possible in the 12 minutes. A really simple, straightforward workout, takes 12 minutes of your time, gets the heart rate going no end. So I would encourage anyone who's thinking about getting into exercise, thinking, oh, you know, it's long and it's tedious. It doesn't have to be. You know, you can start with the kettlebell swings. I mean, there's 10 kg kettlebell swings, but you can get smaller kettlebells. Start off with a smaller one and then work your way up. So make sure you've got good form and that you're keeping your back straight when you're doing it. I had to rewatch the video. So you're keeping your back nice and straight as you're doing it and bending your knees a little bit just to get the momentum. But the most important thing is that you're not arching your back and that you're really going forward. And then on a bike, or if you don't have a bike, just running on the spot or something. But I would encourage you to do something to keep active. When it comes to being able to bend down to pick things up, I can do it without making a noise. You know, and as soon as I start making noise, I know that I probably need to stretch. As soon as I start, you know, if my lower back starts to go, then I thought, oh, you know what, I need to stretch my lower back. But constant exercise, like I said, it only needs to be about 12 minutes. I do 2 sessions a week, most times 1 session a week, but it's regular. And that's what's really keeping me healthier. I think when I have some ailments, that is what helps me to kind of get better more quickly, because, you know, my body's got more strength to fight it off, quite frankly. But anyway, I've come to the end of the video. Again, like I said before, let me know your comments about filming in the classroom for content, and whether you do it, whether you allow, if you're a head teacher, whether you allow your staff to, whether you had to have a conversation about staff members about that. What is your, you know, should they be charged? If they're going to do it in the classroom, should they be charged a higher fee, the same way any other external person would be? I'd love to hear your thoughts. In the process, please like, subscribe. I'm stuck on a subscription. I need to go into my analytics. I'm sure there's lots of you that watch, but not many subscribe. But please like, subscribe, and join me in the next one, because I'm going to be talking mobile phones.